Hi, I'm Caleb. I'm a cardist, and I'm interviewing other cardists to see how and why they create, so we can learn how to grow as a community. Welcome to Cardistry Talk. Hello everybody, welcome back to Cardistry Talk. Today I'm joined by Sean Oulashin, also known as Not Shano on social. He's a part of the Orbit crew. He's big into cardistry and magic and has been in the community for a while. Do you think I missed anything in describing you? Or
I like that.
pretty good
That sounds good.
description. So I guess we'll just jump into some questions out the gate. These are going to be a lot of cardistry related questions just because that's what I'm kind of focused on. That's what I like more so than
Sweet.
magic. So just so you
Yeah.
know. So just starting out with Orbit, do you have a favorite version that you guys have released over the years?
I really like the V4s, the black ones, just because I mean, my wardrobe would say otherwise right now, but I have mostly black clothes, and I'm one of those annoying people who can't like hold a deck of cards unless it like sort of goes with what I'm wearing. It just feels off balance if it's not, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, Other than that, the V8s that are coming out are about to be my favorite. If they are going to be the final version that I saw from our group chat, they look really good, and I think a lot of people are going to dig them. So, yeah, I guess anything with like darker tones, like I guess the V4s are a pretty solid answer for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, those are probably my favorite that I've seen too.
Yeah,
V8s, excited for that.
yep,
So
it'll be.
keeping up with Orbit theme, obviously being a part of the Orbit crew, there's a lot of awesome people a part of it. Is there anything that sticks out to you as like a highlight of being a part of that group, and then maybe a low light as well?
Sure. That's a great question. Um, yeah, I mean, a highlight for me is that I think like most people following Chris Orbit Brown since I was a kid. I remember he was literally one of the not a YouTuber per se because he doesn't like consistently post, but like as I was getting into magic and cardistry, his videos were the ones that I would come back to constantly just to see what he's up to. And the Arthritis Onslaught videos were they um, conveyed such a feeling that I feel like I resonated with, and I'm not really sure that I can articulate, but it was a style that I knew I wanted to replicate, and I wanted to be like this guy. So, 10 years later, to be able to work for him, work with him, and have a say in this brand that I grew up watching is definitely a highlight for me. It's very cool it's fulfilling for sure to be able to work with someone you look up to so greatly still. He's like still a celebrity to me. A low light would probably be that we don't live near each other. And especially in 2020, we cannot see each other because I think the last time I saw Chris in person was a year ago. I think it was literally like a year ago today, maybe that we had the Orbit Jam. It was the second. I think it was the second one, which is the in-person event where we rented out a theater and we had the big screening of the video, the Orbit Jam, whatever it was for the next edition. So yeah, I think definitely a low light is not being able to be near my teammates and my boss because they, above all else, they're my best friends. So I would just like to be closer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally understand that.
Hmm.
So you say you look to Orbit as like inspiration early on when you're first starting off as like something that's really unique and like someone who's doing something totally like awesome. Have you ever thought about how you might be portraying that or fulfilling that role for other people? Because I had Andrew Shea on the show earlier, and he also mentioned that you were like a big inspiration for how he got started. I don't know if you know him, but
Really? What'd you say his name was?
Andrew Shea or Isaiah
Oh
Shea.
yeah, with the yeah. I know. I recognize the name. I didn't know how you say his last name, but yeah, totally. Him in particular, yeah, I've thought about. I don't like to think about like that kind of thing because I try to be as humble as possible because I work hard to get to where I am, and I understand that I mean I'd like to have that effect on people is what I'm saying, and I've definitely recognized my style in him, and he's like off to the races now with his like I can't keep up. He's great. That Andrew kid is awesome. I don't think about how you know I may or may not be that status for some people or kids or whatever. That is my end goal. I think ever since I started, I told myself I wanted to be a headliner. You know, after the first Cardistry-Con and like seeing Tobias and Kevin Ho and Oliver and all those people before brands or anything were up on stage in New York. I told myself next year I'm going to be a headliner, and the next year was Germany,
Berlin?
and then the next year was Los Angeles in 2017, and I spoke. So I feel like I've reached that goal of where I wanted to be, and it's great. But I don't like to think about, you know, I gotta be like a celebrity. But I think it's cool that, you know, maybe I'm there.
Even if like you're considered like a celebrity or like a headliner, like in terms of like cardistry and magic is such a niche thing that like it's not like you can walk down the street and someone's gonna know who you are or anything.
Cool. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, there's not really a point in getting headstrong about it.
Right.
So, but yeah, I just think it's awesome to kind of see other people getting inspired from you and like kind of seeing the cycle continue. I think.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I'm nothing but appreciative for that kind of thing.
So just jumping to another question here. You've gotten the chance to work with a ton of different brands. Obviously, we've been talking about Orbit, but there's also been Doberman Studios, Portland Gear. You work for Portland Gear. You ran an OPC trailer. Is there any creator or brand that you haven't worked with yet that you feel like would really resonate or would be a lot of fun to have?
That's a good question.
Thank
Let me
you.
think about it. Yeah. Man, I don't. I guess I just like to do more collaborations and more shoots, even if it's not even cardistry related. Just like, I think in life, I think my path is business and branding and media. So I think Doberman's a great example. I literally saw one of his shirts, like my barber was wearing one of his shirts, and she tagged Doberman Studios. And I was like, that's a cool brand. I want a shirt. So I messaged Doberman, and they had just started on Instagram. They had 100 followers. And this is like 5 months ago now. 100 followers. I was like, hey man, crazy shirt, let's shoot. And he's like, oh great, I just moved to Portland, let's do it. So we met up a few weeks later, and he ended up being like the nicest guy. And I just love surrounding myself with people that have that drive for creating things. Like you're a great example, interviewing people and, you know, messaging people like this. And I just love that the internet enables people to have an outlet and have a medium and reach an audience. So I think anyone who's like that, I'm down to collaborate with, because I feel like, I mean, I'm doing my best to be like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, even outside of cardistry brands, just any other small clothing brand or anything. But I guess within cardistry, it would be really cool to do a video for Dealer's Grip or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you kind of mentioned like being willing to just work with other people who are creative and like how important that is. I found it like very like a lot easier to do these interviews than I was expecting them to be. I think cardists are a lot down to work with other people. So like I've been surprised about the outreach that I've been getting. Like last week I interviewed Kevin Ho, and then you, and I would consider both of you guys like major inspirations for me, my personal cardistry.
I appreciate that, man. Well, yeah, that's very cool. I think cardists in general, I think there's kind of this spirit about cardistry. I definitely feel it, where you just want to share it as much as possible. So any opportunity to, you know, talk about your own personal story, how I did came up in cardistry, or like, you know, just to get the word out there. I feel like back in the day, there was a couple local news outlets that reached out, and I really wanted to talk. I wanted to be on the news about cardistry because I love this thing so much, and I want other people to love it too. So yeah, I think cardists in particular are really more apt to speaking about it at length.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a passion there too that comes with being a part of a niche group of wanting to, like you said, share it as much as possible.
Yeah, totally.
So you got to work with Joker and the Thief on the Cardistry Was Here kind of documentary and those
Yeah,
types of things, showcasing cardistry. What was that experience kind of like?
that was awesome. I honestly think about Nepal like once a day, even if it's just for a second. That was great, actually. We were in Hong Kong in 2018 for the Cardistry-Con over there, and I hadn't really, I knew about James obviously because he's Joker and the Thief, and he's the funny Australian guy on the internet. um, I met him briefly at 2017 Cardistry-Con in LA, and we hung out, and he gave me a deck, and he's like, "Do a video," and I was like, "Yes," and I never did it. So I was hanging out with him in Hong Kong. We were having some drinks or whatever, and it's late in the hotel, and he goes, "Dude," he goes, "What are you doing in March?" And this is like September of 2018. So he's like, "What are you doing in March, like 2019?" And I was like, "I don't know, dude, probably vibing." And he's like, "Do you want to go to Nepal with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Being like, I mean, at the time I was like, Nepal, where even is that? Why would we go to Nepal? And he's like, "Yeah, so I know I have this friend who runs this nonprofit. His name's Sam, and he runs this nonprofit about saving orphan children from, you know, sex trafficking, which is horrible. And like these kids have lost one or both of their parents in the earthquake. So these kids are literally, he built this village out of nothing pretty much. And it's like a functioning village with agriculture and he built all these schools and resources for these kids. And I was like, yeah, why would we go there? And he's like, well, because playing cards obviously have this, it wasn't obvious to me at the time, are kind of coded as, you know, they're related to gambling and death and crime and stuff. And I was like, whoa. And he goes, so we can show that cards can be used for magic and cardistry, because I have no idea what that is. Obviously, there's no internet over there. So I was like, yeah, I'm down. So immediately forgot about it. After we talked that night, the con went on and kept hanging out. We kept talking up until January. And he goes, all right, man, I'm going to buy my tickets. And I go, your tickets for what? And he was like, Nepal. Don't you remember? And I was like, I guess we're doing it. So I worked it out. We were talking about dates in March, and I ended up going over my spring break in my senior year. So I had a week free. And I remember the moment I hit buy on the tickets on the airline app that I was using. It was a huge amount of money and by far the craziest ticket I had ever booked. I would be going from Portland to San Francisco to China, and then from China to Kathmandu, Nepal. And I was like, here we go. So I hit it, and all of a sudden I'm going to Nepal. The date comes around, and we've prepped and everything. And I told my parents about it a week before, and they're like, you're crazy. Nepal is a crazy place. Why would you go there for a week? And I was like, I got to do it. I feel very driven and compelled to do this. So I'm in the airport. I was supposed to fly to San Francisco first. I'm sitting on the tarmac. All of a sudden, the plane is unbelievably delayed, and we're sitting there for hours. And I realized that if I stay any longer, I'm just going to miss my flight to China from San Francisco. So it was a big thing. All the San Francisco airport was being delayed super bad because the winds from the bay were like messing everything up. So everyone in the entire PDX airport who was trying to go to San Francisco was obviously delayed and livid. So I get off the plane after an hour or two, and I walked to the front of the airport to go talk to the desk agent to see if they could do something. Cause I was already like terrified of traveling this far alone by myself, much less to a third world country. So I'm pretty shaken up at this point. I'm like, well, I'm just not going to go to Nepal. So I literally said to James, I'm like, hey man, and he's already there. He's already in Nepal from Australia. And I'm like, dude, I'm just too afraid. This isn't going to work. So I stand in line. It's 1 a.m. by the time I talk to the desk guy, and I'm the last person in the airport. And I explained to him basically the whole thing I told you about cardistry and everything. And I was like, what can you do for me? And he goes, give me a second. He makes a couple phone calls, and he goes, well, if you'd be okay with leaving in 12 hours from now, actually 9 hours from now, I found another route that takes you through San Francisco, then to Turkey, and then to Kathmandu. So I was like, let's do it. And I was like, so how much do I owe you? And he goes, nothing. It's comped. And I was like, how? And he goes, we're Alaska Airlines. We're the best airline. He didn't say that, but that's what he's thinking. So I ended up, waiting 9 hours. I took an Uber home, slept, actually didn't sleep that much because I'm so nervous. Went back to the airport, didn't even unpack my bags, and I'm off. So I fly to San Francisco and I fly to Turkey. Weirdly slept all the way through the 9 hours from San Francisco to Turkey, which I never do. And given my nerves, I didn't think that would be possible, but I wake up on the other side of the planet, which was insane. I'm in Turkey. My layover is 6 hours. That's the best they could do. And at this point, that's fine. I'm not going to complain. And then as I'm getting on the plane to Kathmandu, I'm surrounded by these people. First of all, Turkey's weird. It's called Turkey. It's got weird people in it. But as I'm getting on the plane to Kathmandu, these people are just dirty and like they look very sickly. And I'm like, what am I getting myself into? So I get on the plane, and the plane is like from 1980 for sure. There's like, it just feels like if you look at it, it'll fall apart. The seats are all crusty and gross. So it's 11 p.m. like I think Turkey time, which I have no idea what time that is on my body clock, but I'm messed up emotionally, physically. I'm on the plane takes off, and I'm looking I'm like watching a Charlie Chaplin documentary on the plane, and all of a sudden the plane starts being tossed around like a rag doll. I fly a lot. I'm normally okay with turbulence. Something about this flight didn't feel right, and I got super nervous. I looked at the little map that you can look on international flights, and we were flying around Saudi Arabia, and I was like, how come we're doing this? In my head. And then I heard someone ask a flight attendant that, and they're like, oh, because it's a protected airspace, and if we enter it, they'll shoot us. And I go, awesome, gonna die. Anyway, long flight, we land, I see James, it's all good. And because I had delayed this whole journey, I would effectively be in Kathmandu or Nepal for 3.5 days, 4 days, which is like not a long time to fly that distance.
Yeah.
So we hang out and I get adjusted and everything, and we end up, trekking to Kathmandu, or to Batase, the village that Sam built, and we meet these kids, and I'm filming everything, and it's very emotional. It was a very emotional experience because these kids literally have nothing. They wear the same clothes for their entire life. It seems like in this village they don't have much, and they all live together in this one shack. There's 20 or 30 of these kids. And they're the happiest kids I've ever seen. They're in a third world country, so far removed from civilization. It sounds so extreme, but I swear that's what it's like. Like, they got buildings and stuff and electricity, but like they're not in society, as it were. They just have their brothers and sisters who are orphans, and they have Sam to look up to. And Sam teaches them everything from education to just how to be a person. And they had no idea what playing cards were, and they didn't know what the symbols meant, kings and numbers and stuff. But they knew what they looked like. So if you do a double lift and you change a card, it's going to blow their mind. And it did. And it was crazy to see that. And I think a lot of people resonated with that watching the film. James contracted something horrible while we were in the village. When you go to a third world country, it's not only common sense, but told to you by the doctor that you see before you go when you get new shots to not eat anything that isn't cooked, of course. So I did a good job of that. They do a lot of dumplings and fried rice over there. So that's kind of what I was eating the whole time. James, when we got to the village, was offered some sort of fermented stew, which wasn't cooked, like a fermented vegetable stew. And I go, no, thank you. That looks very good, but I'm a weak Westerner. I can't afford to have typhoid right now. And James was like, yeah, let's do it. I got to experience this. So he eats it, of course, and I'm like, you're gonna regret this later. And sure enough, he regrets it later. We're in the the main what do you call it? It's like the house where all the kids stay. We're in the basement, and it's like every day they do these really cool recaps of the day where the kids get to talk about what they learned and friends they made. It's just so wholesome. So we're there with all the other volunteers that we trekked with, and I'm sitting next to James waiting to talk or whatever. and James is like quivering and sweating. I look over and there's a bead of sweat dripping down James's face, and I go, "Are you okay, bud?" And he goes, "Mm-mm." And he looks like a ghost. And without warning, he gets up and leaves. I'm like, all right. So I do the whole cardistry introduction by myself. James comes back halfway through. He looks a little better, but apparently he just had to go outside and barf his guts out. So I was like, great. The night ends and we're in our cabins or whatever. And I wake up like 3 hours into sleeping, and I just hear James like moaning, and he just pukes a lot. And then halfway through the night, I wake up again and realize, I'm feeling something bad. I didn't throw up, but my body was definitely like fatigued from, I'm sure, like very dehydrated from literally 2 days of, it was like a good 10 hours of walking every single day for 2 days, with like my entire life on my backpack. So it was that, and then definitely the food, and probably I just felt sick, like these kids gave me something. So we do our work in the village, we film the documentary, and we're riding back. It's like literally a 5-hour car drive back. We're not about to walk again. But they don't have any paved roads in Nepal ever, anywhere. It's ridiculous. That's due to a lot of government corruption, apparently, which of course is bad. But the whole time we're like, bumping around like that. And we get back to our hostel in Kathmandu, and our bodies are just wrecked. Like, we're so sore because you're trying to you don't realize it, but you're trying to stabilize yourself. And we literally we collapsed onto our bed and slept for 12 hours after that. And at this point, I was just like, I need to get home. I know the work I did was awesome. I just can't be in Nepal. Nepal sucks. Nepal sucks. And I'm not being like, that's just how it is. It's just hasn't cleaned up after the earthquake, and it sucks that there's government corruption, but I cannot wait to never go back there. Anyway, we get back and we edit the film. We screen it at Cardistry-Con Portland 2019, and we had a QR code at the end to donate to Friends of the Himalayan Children, which is the organization. And I was like, yeah, probably raise a couple hundred. I think our goal is 3,000 US. And as I get off stage and the next person is being introduced, I check my phone, and we had raised that amount in a second. So it was just really cool to really, show the cardistry community the impact that cardistry can have. And it's even cooler that everyone in cardistry, it seems, is so, that's what I was saying before, is like there's this spirit of like sharing, right? Especially when you're in such a niche thing, you want to tell the whole world about it. So when there's an opportunity to not only share but help kids in a village, we're going to take it 100%. So it was great to get off stage and to realize that we had raised that much money already. And I'm super down to do another Cardistry Was Here in a different third world country, I guess. Not Nepal, but yeah. Sorry, that was a long answer, but that was basically the whole story there.
No, that's great. That's awesome how much money you guys raised. I think I would love to see like more things like that. I know you have Forrest playing cards with Orbit, making the trees, and then OPC did like a lemonade thing. But I would love to see Cardistry get into a lot more charitable work, and I'm super happy that that's something that's starting to pop up more over the past year or two. I feel like.
I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's really cool. It's just like a great use of our platform now. Of brands' platforms to bring awareness to, because I had no idea. I don't know if you knew about the charitable trafficking problems going on in Nepal.
No.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anyone knows about it. So yeah, it's a great way to shed light on these issues in the world.
So Portland being your hometown, I'm sure you talked about this a lot, but what was it like having Cardistry-Con at your spot?
Yeah, it was a dream come true. It was literally like, I think I was in tears. I mean, I don't think I was. I was in tears on the last day after the after party. We're all hanging out at like one of my favorite bars, and all of a sudden, all my internet friends from the world are just in the same space. And as I was saying goodbye, I was just like bawling. It was so emotional for me to have all those people that I've watched on the internet for 12 years now to be in the same space as me. Not only in the same space, but like my hometown. Because I have a lot of pride in Portland. I love the city. Every time I'm in a different city, I go, dang it, I wish I was in Portland right now, because it's just in my opinion, the best city. It's got everything. The size is great, and the people here are awesome. So to have the entire cardistry community in Portland was like, I guess, really overwhelming, because I just didn't know how to handle it. But I remember a couple of days before the con, you know, people show up early just to hang out or whatever and to see Portland. A couple of days before the con, I was taking one of those dumb little scooters. You guys have those? Where are you located again?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati. Yeah. Do you guys have scooters?
Yeah, we
Rentable
have
scooters.
Yeah. Lime, or yeah, we have
Lime or something like that. Yeah. So those just got to Portland last year. So I was taking one to work one morning, and I knew that people were showing up, and I'm like, dang, I wish I didn't work so I could just hang out with people. And I look over and I go, dang, those three people look like Nikolai, Noel, and Tobias. That's crazy that those people look just like them. Oh wait, it is them. And they were just going to the grocery store to get stuff for their Airbnb. And I'm like, what kind of world am I in where I can look over and see the best people in cardistry in my city? So yeah, I think it definitely like tickled a little spot in the childhood me, you know, to see these celebrity status people to me, just walking down the street, and to have, you know, my friends and fellow cardists coming into my work to buy the clothes I help sell. It was very surreal, just super surreal. And I always look forward to Cardistry-Con. I think I've cried at every single Cardistry-Con, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm a very sensitive guy. But yeah, this year, or I guess this last year, was awesome, and really bummed that Belgium didn't happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd rather not get the coronavirus. So
yeah, rather
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I haven't got to go to any, so like I'm can't wait until 2021. I don't know if they're still having it in Belgium, but
yeah, we'll see.
But
I literally, I would cut off my right leg to go to Cardistry-Con. Like it is the number one thing I want to do every year. I will do anything in my power. I'll give up my job if it means I can go to, like, if I can't get time off, I'm gonna go either way.
Awesome. So one thing you've talked about, I know I've listened to Decking Around, you kind of talked about it, but one of your favorite things to do or experience is meet the people that you've met online in person and kind of connect with them in person. What do you think is so important about meeting other people with the same hobby in person?
Totally. I think a lot of it has to do with me growing up as an only child, to be honest. No brothers or sisters. I mean, my dad remarried. I have like a half brother who's 40. But like I didn't grow up with him. Like he would come over for dinner once every 3 months. So yeah, it's been a long time spent alone, just in my room watching these videos and like making videos and making cuts and learning cardistry. And I think I'm trying to think when the first. So I guess yeah, Cardistry-Con was like literally the first time, 2015, early 2015, when I first met someone from the internet who wasn't in my area. I think I met Andrew Avila October in 2014. That was the first ever cardist I hung out with, and it was the weirdest thing. Nicest guy, obviously, but we didn't say anything to each other. Because I think we were both like, whoa, what do we do? So I think in New York, I met everyone, and at that point I realized how important it is to not only go to Cardistry-Con, but to prioritize meeting people in person, because you know, there were people there that I would Skype every day for hours. You know, I know everything about them, but I've never met them. And it's just a reminder of this. I have this like really profound thinking about the internet. It's just it's the tool. You can do anything, and you can, you know, have conversations like this, or you could be really close to someone who lives in France or whatever it is. So I think the thing that I love most about cardistry is the fact that I can put a face to the hands, as it were. You know what I mean? Like, you're always looking at someone's hands. So to see what they're really like in person is great. because it feels like you're not meeting them for the first time. You're just saying what's up in person. And I love that. I think that's it's always like that. I just can't wait every Cardistry-Con to do. There's someone like for you, I'll probably meet you at the next Cardistry-Con, I hope. And I have the same experience.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what gets me out of bed is cardistry, and more than that, doing it so that I can meet more people and just have more friends, I guess, in person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like technical. I can't talk. Technology is absolutely crazy to the point where we can contact people thousands halfway across the globe.
Right.
You know, to not utilize that is kind of would be a shame.
Of course. Yeah, it'd be a tremendous shame. Yeah, I agree.
Mhm. So you obviously have very impressive edits of both photos and videos. They're very shareable. Do you think it's more important to have creative in editing or be creative in making moves for cardistry?
It's a great question. I sort of gave up. I don't want to use the word give up. I think I realized earlier on how much I wanted to share cardistry. And this again goes back to that whole like, we're artists, we got to say it all the time. We want everyone to do it. Um, so I think it goes without saying that any layman likes a spring better than they like a dumb packet cut. You know what I mean? Packet cuts are all the same to a layperson because you see one packet cut and they go, oh, that's a crazy thing you're doing with cards there. It's cool how the packets are moving. And you show them a different packet cut and then they're going to go, well, that's just like the first one because there's packets in it, they're moving. You do a spring or a flicker shot behind the back, hey, that's way more impressive than a packet cut. That's not to discount any packet cutters, of course. I can't packet cut to save my life. But I think my goal with cardistry is to get it seen by the most amount of people ever. Because
Mhm.
if I can affect one or two of those millions of people I hope to reach, then I've done my job. Because I want people to experience the same thing that I get to experience with. I want people to be so stoked on cardistry, so stoked on Cardistry-Con and meeting people, because it's just made my life better. It has made me happier from a real, like a human standpoint. It's made me a happier person and a better person with a bigger perspective, I think. And I wish that everybody who doesn't do cardistry would have something like that. If it's not cardistry, take up, I don't know, competitive knitting or something. But like get into a
Mhm.
community that you can interact with and engage with, and that it adds some enrichment to your life. It's made my life better. So I want you to experience it too, is sort of my thinking about when it comes to sharing cardistry. Like that's a great way of putting it. I'm not ashamed of saying I'm not a good cardist, but I'd say I'm a great marketer because I can get my stuff. I literally just last night I had a front page Reddit thing, and it's because I wanted it. I want to show people that, and I wanted to get my things in front of the right people at the right time. So, um, I would say that I prioritize showing digestible cardistry to a lay audience because I think that's what has the most impact. Of course, I still consume cardistry and watching the CCC champions and people like Carter and Edgar and all those. Patrick is a great example. All those mechanics, like people who work with cards so well to the point where you just can't fathom how they do that. I think that's very important to consume, but it's not as impressive
Mhm.
to a layperson. I mean, maybe it is, but I just think sharing cardistry in a way that is easily understood by someone who's never seen cardistry before, kind of holding their hand through the experience of watching cardistry for the first time, I think is very important, and I think is what I want to do. Like I still make cuts; they're very bad in comparison. They're still stuck in like 2012, to be honest. But I think the videos I make are easily shareable and really convey how I feel towards cards. And I feel like if you're a layperson, you can watch it and understand what's going on and without question be like, that's cool. And that's what I want. And it's worked out so far.
Yeah, definitely. We've talked about this a lot on the show as well, like how hard it is to kind of convey cardistry to people that don't know about it, since it is such a
Sure.
niche thing. So it is cool to hear you kind of focusing on people outside of the cardistry to bring in, because you almost have
Yeah,
to have like a little bit of knowledge about cardistry to enjoy like the packet cuts and
exactly.
the deeper videos, I guess you could say. Not deeper, but
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah,
happy
yeah,
you
totally.
mentioned that.
Mhm.
Um, so you've been you've made a ton of content over the years. Like I said before the show, I usually will go through a person's Instagram account and look at all their posts, and you have like over 400, which is the most I've ever had to do for the show. Is there anything from your early years that you look back at and like kind of cringe at a little bit?
For sure. Let me. There's just one I was looking at. I'm gonna scroll through my Instagram real quick. Um, yeah, yeah, I guess without. I think in. I mean, there's a bunch. Definitely my YouTube stuff for sure. Just because like I'm a baby in those. You know, I just look like I'm 4 years old. Um, so yeah, anything on YouTube. I don't know if you had the unfortunate opportunity to go through my YouTube when did you?
That was going to be too much to go through every.
Okay, okay. Well, you're not missing much. I'll tell you that much. But I think my YouTube channel is probably like the content that I'm like, ooh, why did I do that? What's funny, I have a funny story about YouTube. This is like 2013, 2012, I want to say. I was making these tutorials on like card magic, just simple stuff. I didn't really have a goal with YouTube. I still don't. But I was like, maybe I can have a lot of followers if I just do card, because there's no people making like high quality. There wasn't like Chris Ramsey or Alex Pandrea back then.
Mhm.
The cards were still just a very small thing. So I was making these high quality YouTube tutorials on Magic, and I don't remember how this happened, but it was back on the old YouTube layout. I don't know how long you've been on YouTube, but it was a while ago. And I got this message from YouTube that was like, you have ad credits. Like you can make a video and ad if you want. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I didn't know what I was doing. So I hit yes on like a 9-minute card tutorial I did. And all of a sudden I started getting messages and people coming up to me at school being like, hey, I just saw you on a YouTube, like one of those ads that plays before a video teaching card magic. Did you pay for that? And I'm like, nope, I didn't think so. I really didn't. I didn't have any cards connected to my account at the time. So it just like people were just seeing 9 minutes of tutorial before their videos. I mean, they could skip it, but it was just a weird way that happened. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, YouTube, and then I think I got this huge. I think my audience really took off when I got a 9gag post. I think I was one of the first cardists on 9gag, which has literally 50 million followers on Instagram, which is insane to me. But they picked up one of my posts from Reddit because they saw it doing well on Reddit. So it has to do well on other platforms. So they picked it up and they said, hey, can we post this and give you credit? And I was like, of course, we have 50 million followers. So the morning they posted it, I woke up to, I think I went to bed with 10,000 followers and I woke up to 29,000. And I'm like, this is crazy. What's going on?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I ended with 46,000 followers. And I was like, this is awesome. I got a whole bunch of not cardists following me finally, so I can really evangelize like I want to. And it was great. It was great, but it was cringy is what I'm getting at. Cause like the videos and the content I made back then were like, comment your favorite emoji or like, what
Yeah.
moves are you working? Just super like,
YouTubery.
yeah. Just like annoying, like Instagrammer. I don't like considering myself that, but at the time I was like, I'm a real Instagrammer now. I'm an influencer. I gotta be like that. But I just think that's really shallow now. And I just, engage your audience in other, like make content that you don't have to prompt your audience to engage with. You know what I mean? But yeah, YouTube in 2018, Sean, is probably the cringiest.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story about the 9gag.
Yeah.
So obviously you've had several years of experience editing videos and making creative videos. Is there any one tip for the audience watching that you would give about how to make better content or videos or pictures?
Totally. Yeah. I think really focusing on what you like as an artist and as a creator. Like a lot of my edits, like video edits, are very much informed by music videos. I love music. I love videos. So music videos, I also love. Like I feel like some nights I'll just like watch music videos like they're movies. Like I'll just watch a whole playlist of music videos, and
Mhm.
it's because they with music and with the right edits, all of a sudden you're this energy you can feel from this video. I feel like is the best way to describe it, and I want to convey that with cardistry. And I think a good example is the video I made a year ago. Jeez, where's time going? A year ago when I moved into this spot, it was the 1986 video with the purple light.
Mhm.
Um, I felt like that was just a music video for cards. So yeah, find out what you like about video and photos, and what style you want with photos and how to accomplish that via editing or shooting or what lens or what body. So find what you like and stick to it, and just grow that, because I wasn't always editing like this, but I found out how to. And I feel like just honing in on that one, if you can focus on one style, um, and really, really lock into that. It's not going to happen overnight. I think, as I tell people a lot too with editing, and be, just figuring out how to be creative. I don't know if being creative is a thing you can learn or a thing you're born with yet. I really don't. I don't know if I learned it or I was born with it. But either way, nothing happens overnight. And I think the biggest virtue you can have as an artist is patience. So giving yourself and allowing yourself that time to grow and to develop your own style into something that you're really proud of. And then also to know if what you're doing is good. If you look at it and you can immediately just off the cuff be like, this is good, I'm proud of this.
Mhm.
That's when you know you should post it. Like I still do this to this day. I don't post a video unless I'm stoked on it. And I notice when I'm stoked on it, it performs better than posting when I think I have to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So just be your biggest fan. Be so into yourself that it's annoying to yourself. But that's the only way you can grow.
Yeah, I think it's so important to get started as well and just start learning the process. Like I'm
Totally.
constantly trying to make the show that I'm doing right now better, like about a new mic and adding backgrounds and stuff. So just getting started, you're not going to start off great, um,
Yeah,
but you make the slow improvements and eventually it'll get to someone like your level that makes these incredible stuff, to me at
I
least.
appreciate it. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's all about just starting. Yeah, that's a good point.
So talking about musical videos earlier, I know you posted a lot about Drake. I know you guys were trying to contact Project a little bit recently with the
Mhm.
deck. Is there any rap or hip hop artist that you think is underrated that some people might not know about?
Yeah, I do. There's this guy Felly. Actually, just before this, posted a video with his music. um, his name's Felly. He goes by Felly. His name's Christian Fellner. He's from Connecticut. Um, I've been following him since he was in middle school, and he's like 20, turning 25. That's crazy that I know that. He's turning 25 this year. Um, and I just like he would just make these like dumb little beats on his like pad, this little sampler thing in his room and put it on video, and he would rap over it. And I thought that was the coolest thing. So I bought the same equipment as him. I was like, I got to get that, whatever he's jamming on right there, because that looks like fun. So I did. Um, and I just followed him and his crew and his friends ever since. And I've met him all 4 times that he's come to Portland. I mean, I doubt he remembers me, but we've spoken a little bit in the DMs. He's huge now, in my opinion. He's got over 100,000 followers on Instagram, and he's got a song with Carlos Santana,
Mhm.
rock legend. Um, and he's just sort of just influenced my whole style in terms of how I am as a person, my musical taste, the clothes I wear, a little bit of the videos. He's just like he just is such a uh, eccentric person, and I love his style of music. He started off making hip hop and rap. He sort of transitioned more into classic rock, really, which he pulls off really well. But
Mhm.
I think he's just like a perfect fusion of these two genres that I love. So Felly is a big um, artist that I think not enough people listen to.
Mhm. And just on the topic of music as well, you've also like helped create music. Also, you've done parkour and like I think martial arts.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think it is about cardistry that allows some of these things to kind of get into the mixing pot together? Um, if that makes any sense.
With music and parkour and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, those are all things I love, and I think there's an element of that gut reaction of, oh, that's cool. Like a backflip is like, if you see someone do a backflip, if you don't hate them, you can be like, oh, that's a cool thing you just did with your body. That's crazy that you can do that with your human body and land on your feet without getting hurt. And music is something that is everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it's whether you like music or not, it is everywhere. Audio and just the sonic world is everywhere. I don't think that's the right term, but all these things have these immediate cool factors of like, you see someone do a flip, that's cool. You hear a good song, you can immediately recognize objectively it's a good song. It sounds like music. And then cardistry, you see a spring and you go, I can't do that with cards. I know how cards work and I know how hard that must be, so that's cool. So I think a combination of all of that is another one of those like evangelical things I try to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's got shareability. Like, look at this crazy guy doing backflips, playing the piano and also cards.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I haven't done that, but
it also reaches
making
multiple, it also reaches multiple groups.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So, and those multiple groups are macro, whereas cardistry is pretty micro as it goes. It's definitely getting to macro, but those audiences that I'm reaching are huge. And, to get in front of those eyes is a big deal. So yeah, combining my love for parkour and music and cardistry is definitely where I want to be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just love to see the mixing of different styles of hobbies and stuff. I'm trying to mix in as much soccer as I can because I'm a pretty big soccer guy into cardistry, so I've been doing a lot of footstalls and stuff. That's something I would like to see a lot more of because I think we're going to see a lot of creative stuff when we mix different hobbies together. So
Totally.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So at the end of the show, we tend to do a rapid question round, which is basically I'll ask a bunch of questions. They'll be random in nature. So some will be about cardistry, some will be about not. And the goal is just to answer them as quick as possible.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So we'll jump into that. I have a spin the wheel app on my phone. So I'm going to get that up so I can get some random questions. We'll just start it off. So if you could have coffee with any Disney character, who would it be?
I was going to say Spider-Man, but he's not Disney.
Spider-Man.
Snow White.
Snow White. If an actor portrayed you in a movie, who would it be?
The guy who plays Abed from Community.
Cats or dogs?
God, cats.
Good. Good answer. If you could add one word to the dictionary, what would it be?
If I could add one?
Mm-hmm.
Typhorient.
Typhorient. What does that word mean?
I don't know, but I said it once and I thought it was real, but it's not.
It's okay. This is a common question on the show. I don't know why, but it's become a mainstay. Toilet paper. Is it over or under?
Over.
Good. I'm waiting for the first person to say under. No one said under yet.
Well, don't let them find me.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Favorite movie?
Oh God. Moana.
Good movie. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Invisibility.
Okay. And then the second part, would you use it for good or evil?
Evil, for sure. Yeah, why not?
You're the first person to say evil. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite restaurant?
Yes, it's a Fury Ramen in Portland.
All right, and then we'll end off with this last question. If you could have, let me rephrase that. What would the title of your autobiography be?
How to Win Friends and Influence People, Part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah, the first. It's a big book that like a lot of entrepreneurs read. It's by Dale Carnegie. I feel like maybe that got that completely wrong, but it's like a staple of entrepreneurship, that book. So I'll just write the second one. That'll be way worse.
I'll look up that book later. So Sean, thank you for taking time out of your day to be on the show. I usually like to do what I call roll out the red carpet. Is there anything that you would like to promote or any last nugget that you would want to talk to the audience about?
I don't know. I thank you. I'm so stoked to be on it. Very cool to. I love connecting with people like you because obviously you're doing such a great thing. You're doing the work of cardistry. You're spreading the good word, as it were. So yeah, I'm just super appreciative that you reached out and that you given me this platform to tell stories on and stuff. I don't really have anything to promote. I think people know about Orbit, buy Orbit cards, but I think people know about them. No, man, I'm just super, super stoked that you reached out and that we had this awesome
I also
conversation.
have bags and
There it is. Nice.
stickers.
Sick, dude. Yeah, no, I'd say on my red carpet, just a big thank you to you for doing this awesome interview series.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for being on. I hope everybody has a good day. Thank you for staying by if you watched this whole thing. And I guess we'll peace out. So see you guys.